welcome to our podcast, Two Old Chuffs, A Tale of Two Hospices. I'm Tamsin Thomas.
And I'm Gina Stones.
And this is our second occasion for Hospice Care Week, where we've welcomed someone from within the hospice community to come and join us for a bit of a chat. And the reason we're doing that is we are reflecting really and trying to open the doors and let people understand more what hospice care is all about. And when Gina and I were talking about this a while back and trying to think of what the theme might be for Hospice Care Week, the one word that leapt out from what Gina said was time. It's a really important word, isn't it?
I think it is, because we know that actually every moment really is precious here, and it's about the staff making the most of that time, however much time there is for those people and those families that are left.
So time today comes under the title of we have the time to help you make new memories, and this is really key in both our hospices. And someone who can look back and tell some great stories is our colleague Janet Barnie. Stop pulling faces, we haven't even started. Now, Janet has been doing what she does now for years and years, but I want to take you back even further, because you were part of this Cornwall Hospice Care before there was a hospice at St Austell, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Yes, I got involved in fundraising to actually build the hospice. I can remember sitting in a garden in Polruan and selling bricks at £1 a brick to build the hospice. We didn't have a pile of bricks, but they gave us £1 and that built the hospice. And there were certain things. It had to be near a railway station, it had to be near another hospital, so St Austell was the ideal place.
Which means you knew the legendary Enid, who is our founding mother, really.
I did know Enid, yes. She was a character and she was determined to get this place up and running, which we did.
It's fantastic, John. I had no idea that you went back that far.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I was living away at the time, and I used to come home quite a bit with Mum and Dad, and then I would go and help out because I always knew Margaret Geek, and go and help out with that. And then when I came back to Cornwall to live, I joined the St Austell fundraising team because the hospice was up and running then.
And of course, when this all first started, there was no hospice in Cornwall, was there? Mount Edgcumbe was the first one.
We were the first one, yeah.
And Enid, because I was a little girl growing up in Polruan, not that I'm trying to suggest you're old. The minute I said that, I thought that's right.
Mistake.
I'm not much younger than you, but I was growing up in Polruan, and she was a formidable woman.
She was a formidable woman.
Not just about the hospice.
No, about everything. Yeah.
So you had no option?
No, we didn't. We had to do it, and we did.
And do you remember what it was like seeing the hospice open?
I wasn't here on the actual opening day, but my aunt, quite soon after it opened, she was a patient here, and she actually passed away here. But I actually got it then, what they did. And really, things have changed, but the care hasn't changed. We still do the same things. We still have time. We still give the patient, the family, what they want.
What do you think Enid would think if she was looking down in this, our 40th year?
I think she'd be very proud. I'm sure she would. I mean, I think it's a privilege to work here. It's not a chore to work here, it's a privilege. And I think she'd be very proud of what everybody's achieved.
So, being involved all those years ago, right at the concept of it, that was to help raise the funds, sell the bricks or whatever. Did you at that point think, I'd like to work there?
No, because I was away living and my life was in Coventry then. But when I came back and joined the fundraisers, I remember one day thinking, I would like to have more involvement. Rather than be out here selling it, I want the involvement because I like that patient-relative contact. So I came and saw Margaret West, who was our matron at the time, and she took me on as a nursing auxiliary because I hadn't done it. I mean, I'm a secretary in real life. And I did my training to become a HCA. I was on the bank for 5 years, and then I got lucky enough to get a permanent position. And that was 31 years ago.
That's amazing. And you look back, don't you, to 40 years ago, and you think, because I think the hospice movement was bubbling up all over the country in that time, and it's fantastic to have been part of that new build here.
Yeah.
And to bring it to Cornwall, which actually is quite out of the main main centre. So St Christopher's was, I think, 67, and there are quite a lot of other hospices that kind of grew around that time. But actually,
we were actually quite pioneering at the time.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was totally different. As you know, we do much more advanced things now, much more symptom control. I would say back then, people didn't go home as much. Very few went home, where now we can get them symptom controlled, we can send them home.
Does that mean that there were some patients that were here a long time?
Very long time, some of them, yes.
And how many beds did you have then, Janet?
We had 21.
Okay.
Then we went to 17, then down to 12, and now 10. But we had 3 4-bedded bays, 2 bays with 2 people in, and they were very small. That didn't work, because to get a bed out, you had to take a bed out if they were in the... And for someone to die and just 2 of you, that wasn't right. It was very upsetting, because they became friends and the families, and they were in a confined space. So then we did the extension and got rid of the 2-bedded rooms.
And that reconfiguration around what patient and learning what patients and families needed is really important to remember, isn't it?
Yeah.
And has the feedback ever changed, or do families behave in the same way and say the same things since the very beginning?
They do exactly the same. Everybody's wonderful, but I always take it that yes, the nurses are angels, but the nurses don't function without the rest of the team. We need the kitchen staff, we need the housekeepers, we need maintenance, we need fundraisers, we need the shops. Without each other, we don't function. We give the care on the ward, and we're face to face with the relatives, so they thank us, but you have to thank everybody, because we don't function on our own.
No, and that's I think where sometimes it's hard when there's different sites, and people are spread out. And I often think about the people in the shops who are amazingly committed to the charity. That's why they work in our shops, but they don't ever get to come in here unless, of course, it touches their family personally, and it's a real shame, isn't it?
It is.
And I think that's why it's important to get the message of that thanks back out again to those
and the IT team, I mean, they're wonderful, and I wouldn't function without them, and I think a lot of us wouldn't.
There's 3 of us in this room for a start. Yes, quite. And of course that will have changed. I mean, I've just been looking at a picture of Enid, and she sat at her typewriter with the model of Mount Edgcumbe Hospice to one side. This was before it was built. So in your career with us, you'll have seen technology skyrocket.
Yes, and we had no way like this, no media and that to promote fundraising. You were out there doing it. We didn't have Facebook or whatever. It was face to face in the community with the people. We might have the odd radio show, which you were probably involved in.
I can remember coming here, and I wish I could remember what year, to report on a lady who was having her head shaved, and she was raising money for the daycare centre. And I can remember coming here and being treated like a queen, and I've never eaten so much cake. But this lady was quite poorly herself and was having her head shaved, and it was just I can't tell you the sunshine atmosphere that I hadn't expected when I walked in the front door.
A lot of people say that. They say they think they're going to come in a big black tunnel to doom and gloom, and people actually say, "But you're laughing." Yeah, we do laugh, because you have to laugh.
I love hearing your laugh, and I love hearing Pierre, one of our chefs, singing.
Yes.
proudly sometimes, but...
But you have to carry on as normal because life is normal, you know, isn't it?
It's a theme, isn't it? We were talking to Elaine Potter in another of the podcasts, one of the senior nurses down at St Julia's, and she said just the same thing. There we go, just to prove the point. There is the fire drill. It is a drill on a Monday.
It is, at 11
We're
o'clock.
recording this on a Monday, just to give away that we're not live. And there we are, that's reality happening. It is going on a long time
And they
now,
can't
isn't
switch it off.
So folks, we may have to just stop our podcast there for a minute and vacate our room. You're listening to Two Old Chuffs, A Tale of Two Hospices. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back. You're listening to our podcast, Two Old Chuffs, A Tale of Two Hospices. I'm Tamsin Thomas.
And I'm Gina Starnes.
And the bell has stopped, so I don't think there is a fire. I think we can carry on with what we were talking about. We are joined today by Janet Barnie from Mount Edgcumbe Hospice, and we've been looking back, because Janet, you've been involved since the hospice, before the hospice was built, but actually you've been working for 31 years now, doing what?
I started as a nursing auxiliary, then I trained to be a healthcare assistant, and then I think it's about 14 years ago the ward clerk left, and because I am, you know, admin trained, I applied for the job and got the job, luckily.
And it involves making sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, it's arranging, you know, patients' admissions, discharges, getting them to hospital appointments, making sure that relatives are okay, that they understand about the hospice, that sort of thing.
I always think of your role as being kind of like the glue bits that make everything work. So you kind of, you know, you're making things happen, you're making sure that people have got what they need when they want it, and actually it's all about that kind of smooth transition, isn't it? And people come to you, don't they? Gravitate, I think, to your office and to your desk to say, you know, where's this, what's this, how do we do this, and that knowledge that you have of all those years working here has been fantastic.
Can help them.
Yeah.
We say it all the time in PR and communications, ask Janet,
Yeah.
when we don't know the answer.
It's probably because I'm nosy more than good.
We couldn't say that ourselves, Janet, but I think you might be right. There might be a bit of that.
You're nosy, you're like glue, and you're old. Where do we go from there? But our theme through Hospice Care Week is We Have the Time Too. And with you, we wanted to explore We Have the Time to help you make new memories. And that is something that you feel very passionate about, isn't it?
I do. I decided when I started work here that if somebody wanted something, if it was time to go home, that didn't matter because I've got tomorrow and those people haven't, and that's always been in my mind. You know, I've got another day, they might not. So you get it done then, but you must have time for these people and to listen. And I listened to a training session once, and it said, don't just listen with your ears, listen with your eyes, your hands, your whole self, because you can be looking around the room and saying, yes, yes. You're not actually listening. You must look at that person, touch that person, because touch means an awful lot. I know at the moment it's weird and we can't do that, but it does matter to show that you're listening. We've done a lot of things for people. We've arranged weddings. You, Tamsin, for us arranged, all a lady wanted to do was to see the fireworks. And you very kindly arranged for this lady to have a very prominent position in Foy to see the fireworks. And that family will never forget that.
But nor will you or anyone else
No.
who's involved.
No, it was just amazing. We've had christenings. You know, it's those little things that matter, the things that they can't do. And actually, with the media now, they can watch weddings. They couldn't do that in the beginning, but Jan has arranged stuff. She's done photographs of weddings with haven't you? You've done photograph albums for people.
I should explain, Jan is one of my colleagues who is our producer and sitting in the corner blushing now. But she has.
She's done a lot.
And the atmosphere is fabulous on a wedding day, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know, they thought that, we've got a few photographs, and then Jan came in with a lovely album. And it was just like they'd had it done outside.
And I think you told me once about, was it a man or a woman, I can't remember, who just wanted to see the sea.
Yes, yeah. And they were in a wheelchair, so we got a wheelchair taxi. And they drove them down to Charlestown around, and he went above and beyond, because he went out to Calion Bay and went across the top and around to Par and back.
I think people are very willing, aren't they to support us to make those memories. And I think that's part of how you ask, and you will do that very well, Janet, because actually you know lots of people and people understand, you know, why you're asking. But the thing that I've been struck by, it's anything. It's whether or not actually somebody wants a cherry yoghurt or a vanilla yoghurt in the kitchen, or a family want an afternoon tea together, you know, because somebody can't go to have a cream tea out. It's those things that our kitchen will make, or people will offer to come in as Father Christmas in August. People, you know, it's those things where staff really go the extra mile. And you're right, Tamsin, it's about those memories that we make.
It is, and a lot of people just want a pasty.
Yeah.
And they will make them a little pasty, because then they've had the taste. They might not eat it all, but they've had the taste and seen the pasty. I remember years ago a lady came in and they put her sandwiches in front of her. She wanted sandwiches. She said, I don't believe this. They've cut the crusts off. She said, how wonderful is that? And those are little things that matter, the way it's presented, because when you're poorly you don't feel like eating, but if it's presented nicely on a plate, it gives you that incentive to try.
How important is it, do you think, to be able to do those little things?
It's priceless. You can't, you know, the time to do that, anything like that, that's what matters, isn't it? You know, we've been to Asda, we've bought dressing gowns, we bought nighties because people come in without them, toiletries, and we've got an amazing people out there. We've had stuff donated from Boots and people like that.
Well, we've just had
special toiletries, you know.
We've just had a very special moment where we had to approach, I don't know if you know, Gina, a lady in Foy runs a little business that makes these half boat hulls to go on the wall and you plant flowers in, and we had a patient who wanted to look out and see a boat, and what's extraordinary is, you know, I made a point of saying we'd like to buy, and there was no question that money was going to change hands. You forget that people who aren't to do with the hospice want to help.
And that will be there forever, and the family can come back and look, and it will always remind us of that person, because that person also wanted Christmas. And, you know, Gina, you got crackers, and we got the decorations, and our estates manager, he volunteered to come in on a Sunday to be Father Christmas.
And has it been difficult to do all of this in this climate?
It's a lot harder, because people are wearing masks. You don't see the true expressions, do you? You know, you're smiling at somebody, but they can't see that. Can't touch, can't hug relatives. That is very hard.
But I do think that what the hospice has really tried to do is to keep the the kind of the ethos of being able to make those special things, really, because actually that's what's important, and to me it feels even more important at the moment to actually go that extra mile and to make it as right as you can.
And the fact that they can have two named relatives where they've been in hospital for a long time, they've seen nobody, and then suddenly they come here and they can see two friends, family, and that has made a big difference.
And of course the thing that also has always struck me, and I know at the moment it's probably very difficult to do it, is that unlike a hospital, we see a lot of pets normally, don't we?
Normally.
Or animals of all sorts.
Yeah.
And that must lift spirits a bit
It
as
does, yeah. And we usually have the pack dogs as well, you know, the dogs who visit. And they love that. I know they can't come at the moment. But their own pet, their own dog can, but it has to isolate for 3 days, and then it has to be bathed before it comes in.
Well, that would explain it, because when we were at St Julia's the other day, talking to Elaine, as I left, a lovely black Labrador was leaving.
Came in.
Yes.
So he'd obviously isolated, bless.
Oh, and then of course there's the thing that I love about Mount Edgcumbe is the wildlife, because we've got, I think they're almost tame, the squirrels and the rabbits.
The squirrels are, yeah. And then we had the deer through lockdown, didn't we?
Who fell in love with the ornamental deer and seemed to lie with them.
Lie with them. And ate all the rosebuds, yeah.
Oh.
But, yeah.
I can remember going in to see a patient one day, and she'd got the veranda outside and the bird table, and and they are very large squirrels because they're fed so well, sat on the bird table, and she said, I said how lovely it was, and she said, yes, we've found a way of keeping him there so I can watch him for ages. We're feeding him toffee. So this poor squirrel was chewing and chewing. He obviously couldn't go anywhere because he was busy sorting the toffee out. But that, I thought, said a lot.
And also our fish are a great draw. People love our fish in both ponds.
And how long? The fish have been here a long time, haven't they?
Well, the fish must be as long as me, if not longer.
Because I can remember years ago coming in here and there were...
There's always been fish.
Koi carp, aren't they?
Yeah.
People do love it, and actually it's lovely to be able to sit and watch them, because it's quite relaxing, isn't it? Actually, you can move the chair around or the bed round.
It is, to put them there, yeah.
I've seen staff watching them, actually.
Yeah,
it's not just the patients and their families.
They're fascinating.
Yeah.
They're calming.
Yeah, no, they certainly are. So is there for you particular moments where you'll always remember because of something we did, or because a person was just an engaging person, or a family was special?
There are special people. I don't think they would ever know, or the other patients would ever know, but there are some people that get you more than others, and that's like in life, isn't it? You know, some people are closer to you than others, and that's difficult.
I asked Elaine, and I'm going to ask you, how do you stop taking it home sometimes?
Well, we've got wonderful support here. I'll talk to Gina, I can talk to you, talk to Jan. You know, there's some people at certain times that I can talk to. I never have taken it home. I do sometimes sit and I'll watch some silly programme on television and start to cry. And I always say to Alistair, I'm not crying about the programme, I'm crying for all the people I've lost, because I don't cry here. But it does sometimes get you.
Yeah, I can understand that. And then it's hard.
You know, we've got people to talk to here, and those people have always got time for us as well. You know, if I come to you, you'd never say, oh, I haven't got time now, Janet. Would you?
No.
You would always be there.
No, and that kind of takes us back to, you know, we have time to look after each other as well as making, and for us to make memories, actually, because we're talking about memories we've made. They're not necessarily our memories, you know, they belong to the patient or the family, but they'll stay with us, won't they?
They will, yeah. And yes, it is. It's time again, isn't it, for your colleagues, everybody.
Would you change it? You know, if you had your time again?
No, I would have done it earlier.
And do you keep a record? Hello, we've got a wasp come in the room now to join the podcast. Would you do you capture all the things that you do, the special things that you do? I'm asking, so I'm wondering if there's a book coming out by Janet Barnie at some stage.
No, we've got a book above and beyond things we do, and we keep records of that, and that goes back over the years. No, just sometimes I'll see something and a little thing will hit me. Oh gosh, yes, I remember that. Or you see people in Tesco or Asda and they'll come up, hello, how are you?
Can you remember them all?
No, not all of them. And it's quite difficult sometimes, but then they'll say something that jogs you. And actually, I'm truthful. I say, look, I'm sorry, I recognise your face, but I can't remember your name. And then they'll say, oh yes, you know, I'm Fred or Bob, and my wife was with you, and then it hits.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? It shows you what a mark you all make, and you maybe don't realise sometimes
that they remember us.
You.
But I had a lady came in last week with a donation, but also chocolates, and her father died here, must have been about 15 years ago, and she's still bringing donations and chocolates.
That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. It kind of underpins to people.
And we get a lot of that. People will come in because they live away and they're down, they'll just pop in to see us.
I think Christmas always says a lot when there's a mountain, and I mean a mountain, of boxes of chocolates.
Flowers, yeah.
Well, it's...
And we do appreciate them all, you know, that they don't come in, and we do appreciate the fact that people remember.
And clearly people appreciate what the hospice has done
we've
for them
done.
too. That's important.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is another... it's the reason why I get sad, actually, at the moment where we're preparing... This is the week, Hospice Care Week, when, ironically, Mount Edgcumbe hits its 40th birthday in a year where we can't do any of the things we wanted to do. But all of that just makes me sad that Enid's not here, so we can say to her, look, 40 years on, still what you believed in is happening right here.
Yeah. Incredible, isn't it?
No, it really is. And when we celebrate our 80th anniversary, obviously, Janet, you'll be able to lead the choruses.
Yeah, I'll still be here on my Zimmer frame.
I'm trying to balance out the suggestion you're old. What keeps you here now?
I just love every day. I never ever, and I never have, woken up in the mornings and thought, I don't want to go to work today. I do want to go to work today. I find it hard to take a holiday. I just love it so much. It's my life. Apart from my husband, my 2 children.
And the dog. Yeah.
The dog, yeah.
Well done for squeezing that in.
Just
because you have got to go home at some stage, and they may have listened to this.
No, my daughter always says you think more of the hospice than you do of us, Mum.
Well, I think that's a lovely note to end on. Janet, thank you for not only giving us a glimpse back to the very early days, but also showing us how time can make that huge difference. Even if it's a tiny thing we do, it's something we've got time in a hospice setting to do, and that's really special, and the more people that know that, the better.
And it's everybody who has that time who work in the hospice, from, you know, the admin, the volunteers. I mean, look at their time. That's all given free. Incredible.
Thank you very much indeed, and happy birthday, because you are a part of the fabric of Mount Edgcumbe Hospice. And thank you, Gina, as always. You've been listening to Two Old Chuffs, a tale of 2 hospices, and the fact that we have time to help people make new memories.